Restoring Illinois to greatness. This is Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project and hosted by AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan and Pat back on this edition of Rising. And Pat, just want to do a little post-Janus discussion here. Liberty Justice Center, you're the president of Counsel for Mark Janus, this seminal case that will change the landscape of public sector unionization in this country. Good piece in the Wall Street Journal vindicating the Alito decision and your representation of Janus. American Federation of Teachers holding its annual convention this weekend. Some 90 resolutions on the agenda, like single-payer health care, opposition to the Dakota Access Pipeline, the union's Berkeley affiliate demanding President Trump's immediate resignation or removal, a resolution denouncing Mondelez for moving Nabisco cookie production to Mexico, another resolution calling on school districts, colleges, universities to offer their students diverse views about military service and the ROTC, advocating for the removal of the U.S.'s Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System in South Korea.
Those are all really important worker right issues.
Precisely.
Like, these are the things workers really care about in terms of getting salaries and benefits.
Where is your money going? Here it is to eliminate the U.S.'s Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System in South Korea. It's about time we heard from the AFT on this.
Yeah, the argument that the other side made that the politics of the union and worker representation were separate was always a red herring. Plus, collective bargaining in every form is a political act because you're asking the government to spend money. And so the decision obviously was the correct one. It is a watershed. What we have to look for now, Dan, is what I call the post-Janus litigation world, the post-Janus opt-out world. And we're seeing it already because a bunch of people are calling Liberty Justice Center, going to libertyjusticecenter.org to tell us we're not being allowed to opt out of our unions, right? A person from Oregon contacted us the other day and said, I want to get out of my union because I read Janus. Janus is everywhere. And they said, no, you signed a card pre-Janus, and you can get out in February. There's another person. You can get out next December. You can get out on your birthday, right? So they're not letting people out. And our position at Liberty Justice Center is that Justice Alito's decision is really clear. Agency fees have to stop being deducted, and they are in Illinois. Mark Janus showed me his pay stub. It does not have agency fees in it anymore, so that's terrific.
I'm sure that was the first stub they corrected.
It was the first one they corrected right away. But our position is that, Justice Alito was careful to say everybody's out of the union because you can't have opted in without understanding what your constitutional rights under Janus were.
You were coerced in, so now you're freed out, now you make a decision.
And you can go back in, and I'm telling you, the unions are fighting that publicly tooth and nail. So there is going to be all kinds of litigation over these issues for a long period of time to come as we try to help people make a decision for themselves whether to be in and out of the union. If there are people that are in that situation, they should go to libertyjustice.org and let us know, and we'll provide them some help.
And there's some concerns, too. I had a caddy at this well-appointed golf club that I belong to.
You used to be a caddy.
I know.
See, do you see that? Like, that's how life goes. Like, you were a caddy, now you have a caddy. That's progress.
And I'll probably be a caddy again before too long.
Probably.
But he's a teacher, and we were talking a little bit about the Janus decision. He kind of vaguely had heard about it, but concerned about his benefit levels being reduced or somehow negatively impacted if he were to opt out of the union.
Yeah, well, that's what they always tell them, right? I mean, the state law requires that the union represent people whether they're in the union or not in the union, whether they were paying dues or not paying dues. And now, of course, agency fee payers don't have to pay, and that's exactly, Dan, how the public sector unions want it. And they want to be able to do that now, even when they're not getting money, because they want access to all these people. They want access for all the things you just talked about that they're politicizing, and they want access to them to see if they can convince them to come back in.
What about the prospect of clawing back agency fees that were, according to the Supreme Court, illegitimately taken in the first place?
So there's a bunch of class action lawsuits out there making that argument. It's an interesting argument. It's a tough argument, though, because until Janus, it was constitutional to allow it. What I think is more interesting is this idea that fees are being collected now, from the time Janus was decided and going forward, and will continue to be collected for next year. And there's going to be post-Janus clawback opportunities that are significant. And that's why the unions have to be very careful about what that Alito decision is. There's going to be a lot of litigation on that, and there's the potential for there to be a lot of clawback on that.